great stat, and I think you're just going to have to see New Orleans. If they want to keep that season alive, they got to win that game.
Yep.
Of course, Kansas City as well.
And then at 6:05, which is much more respectable hour, 6:05 tomorrow morning, we've got, and that's on 1HD also, we've got Philadelphia at playing away in Arizona, taking on the Cardinals. Philadelphia are $1.56. The Cardinals, $2.48. The line there is 3.5 points, and the overs and underline is 42.5.
Big talking point here, of course, Kevin Kolb was the backup at Philadelphia, and he left to go to Arizona, signed a huge deal there, didn't really do very well last year, didn't do well in the preseason. In fact, there was talk that Skelton, the backup quarterback, was actually going to start the season, but Cobb's been okay in those first two games. Is there anything in the fact that Philadelphia knows him and knows what to expect and knows what kind of quarterback he is? I'm not sure. Again, Arizona's been a surprise. They're 248 here. Look, that's not that bad a bet. I think if you, I don't think the Eagles are a great team. I think this is a game that Arizona can win. I think both these teams at the moment, the way they've been playing, are probably a little bit overrated. But look, I like the Eagles. I've got family from Philly, so I've always been a soft spot for the Eagles. But that's not a bad thought there to look at Arizona at home, 248. Al, that's not bad.
I was just about to say they're playing at home, and if they can carry on some confidence from the surprise win last week against New England, then they should be well and truly in this game. And at 248 seems like a good price.
Agreed.
On ESPN at 10:20 on a Monday, maybe the game of the round. We've got New England $2.16 playing in Baltimore at $1.72. The line there is a flat 3, and the totals, the over and under is 49.5.
Can I not offend you if I say stay away from this game?
No, of course not. No, of course not. Call the way you see it, Ed.
This is a rematch of the AFC Championship game, and the Ravens were really not hard done by, but they had a chance. They could have won that game, drop pass away from potentially being in the Super Bowl. I think this is going to be fascinating to see what New England does coming off that shock loss to Arizona. And as I said, missing Aaron Hernandez, the tight end, he's a big weapon for them.
He's out for the season as well, isn't he?
He may be. I have not seen the update on that. He may very well be, because I think it was a knee or an ankle. Or...
Well, Paul, who's our US sports genius at Betstars, he was the one who was telling me today. He reckons he's out for the season, and he reckons that Wes Welker, they haven't been playing him, which has been a little bit curious. They're not giving him the game time he normally gets. Yeah,
he's been down on game time. So you've got that coming into a place like Baltimore that is a very, very difficult to play in. In fact, they've won 20 of their last 21 in Baltimore, believe it or not, 12-0 in their last 12 home games. So that's going to be something New England is really going to battle. And the Ravens coming off a tough loss to Philadelphia. So both these teams coming off losses. The Patriots are getting 3 in this one. They're 216. The Ravens are 172. Very, very difficult game. My gut feeling would be you'd maybe look at the under in this one. I can't see a lot of points being scored, but this is a tough game to pick.
Yeah. And both teams very fancied at the beginning of the season as well to have good years as well.
Super Bowl, I don't want to say favorites, but certainly teams that people thought might be in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, they were definitely the point here.
Good game, though. This should be a very good football game.
On live on ESPN, 10:30 Tuesday morning, Green Bay Packers $1.57, travel away to Seattle at $2.46. The line there is a flat 3. The overs and unders 46.5.
This is going to be an interesting one, Alan. I think this could go one of two ways. I mean, I think the Seahawks have actually put together a pretty good team. Pete Carroll's got some real energy there, and they really love Russell Wilson, a rookie quarterback, but a very mature one of those kids that took advantage of the NCAA rule where he played at North Carolina State, and then when his eligibility, still had a year of eligibility, but had already graduated, they didn't want him at NC State, so he went to Wisconsin and had an incredible year at Wisconsin and earned the starting job here. So if he plays well and the Seahawks defense is pretty solid, they could be in this game. If Wilson gets rattled a little bit and Green Bay can get some turnovers the way they did against Cutler in Chicago last week, then I think Green Bay could run away with this thing. So gut feeling is Packers in a blowout, or potentially Seahawks in a very close game.
Hopefully that's given the listeners some clarity there. Just going off script a little bit, Seahawks smashed Dallas last week, didn't they? I think they beat them by 20 odd. What do you make of that? What's the season going to hold for Dallas?
Look, the same. I think I said this 2 weeks ago. It's the same Cowboys team to me when they came out and played the Giants. It's Romo can win you games. He can lose you games. He can make some incredible throws. He can make some terrible throws. They had some bad drops last week. Des Bryant and I think I'm trying to think who the other receiver was. They dropped some balls that they should have caught. Seattle's tough at home. Very tough team to play at home. And as I said, I think there's a good feeling about Seattle and what they're trying to accomplish. So that didn't shock me as much. It would shock me if they beat Green Bay, but again, Seattle, I think, is a danger team at the moment.
Yep. We said we're going to speak about most of the games that are televised. These two we're going to discuss are just good games, and it would be remiss for us not to talk about them, but not televised. Atlanta taking on San Diego. Atlanta, $2.46. San Diego at home, $1.57. The line is a flat 3 there, and the overs and unders are 47.5. That's
an intriguing one, I think. I think Atlanta going in there has played really, really well. San Diego was kind of, the trouble is with San Diego, every year we hear how good they're going to be, and then every year they just don't get it done and end up choking some things away and losing teams they shouldn't lose. So I think Atlanta, you've got to run with them at the moment. I know this game's at home in San Diego. The interesting thing, again, on a little different note here, I don't think this game's sold out yet, and San Diego is really struggling to sell these games out. And you're talking about a team potentially moving to Los Angeles. This is for a discussion for another time. There's a good chance it could be San Diego if they don't get their house in order and get some people into that stadium. But I think Atlanta's a good chance here. I think the way they've been playing is exciting. They're throwing the football. Matt Ryan, as I said, has been great. Might be worth a look on Atlanta.
Yeah, it is a discussion for another time. But as a new fan of US sports, I find it extraordinary that the biggest sport in America doesn't have a team in Los Angeles. I just scratch my head about that, and I can't work it out.
It's a funny one. We'll talk about it another time. There actually are some really good reasons why. Number one, a stadium, but we can talk about it. It's probably better to discuss that another time. I think that's going to be a good football game as well. I think you got a couple of teams there that are playing well.
Yep. And the last one we'll touch on is going to be Houston Texans, who are now second favourite for the Super Bowl, taking on Denver. Houston, $1.81. They play at Denver. $2.04. The line there is a flat 1, and the overs and unders 44.5 points.
I think that line's come down a little bit. I think Denver was actually getting 3 or so earlier in the week, at least in some of the American markets that I looked at. But Denver as an underdog at home in a very difficult place for visiting teams to play, I think it's not a bad option. I know Houston is a better team, I think, than Denver at the moment. Peyton Manning coming off a loss. Houston's got a very, very good defense, so that's going to be some issues that Peyton's going to have to deal with. But anytime Denver's getting even just 1 point and it's a home game, it might be worth looking at because they're a tough team to beat at home.
Now, just before we take a break, an SMS that came through earlier from John in Port Melbourne. John, just to address your SMS before we take a break, and again off topic, says, Ed, thoughts on the second wild card in the majors? Can the Orioles and A's have an impact in October?
Well, that's a great question. I mean, they've excited baseball fans by adding a second wild card instead of the first, and they play just a one-off game. So the two wild card teams play a game against each other. The winner of that then goes on to play somebody else. A's, I'm not so sure. They've had a wonderful season. I'm not sure they can make some noise. Orioles, absolutely. It's a team that's won 16 straight games that have gone into extra innings, only one short of the Major League record set in 1949. So they are an extraordinary baseball team in close games. So anytime you've got that going for you into the postseason, I think you're a chance.
And as we take a break, Aaron and Morty Alex says, come on, Ed, I get up at 2:40, check the injuries for fantasy footy, then fire up Game Pass and Foxtel. Brilliant, no kids or
Good
wife.
Man.
Imagine.
Good man.
Aaron from
Good man.
Morty Alex. Betstars and Stripes brought to you by Betstar. Take Betstar on at betstar.com.au, and Betstar are bringing back an old favourite with double fixed odds from 8 a.m. race day on all Group 1 races this spring. A break and back with more after this.
Celebrate. This is Bet Stars and Stripes with Dr. Turf, Ed Wyatt and Alice Gander.
Betstars and Stripes, you can catch it at this time at 8 o'clock every Sunday night from 8 until 9. Ed Wyatt, Alice Gander, and usually Dr. Turf would be here. He will be back on deck next week. Of course, Betstar are bringing back an old favourite with double fixed odds from 8 a.m. race day on all Group 1 races this spring, starting of course, with the weekend just gone, and then moving across throughout the spring campaign through to the big ones. Now, Ed, a little bit of fantasy footy. I know you're big on that. How are you travelling at the moment?
Yeah, well, been playing it for a number of years with the Born in the USA League that we've still got going. I'm okay. I've got Aaron Rodgers, who's the Green Bay Packers quarterback, so he's, at least I have some possibility of racking up some big numbers. But I tell you what, if you got Eli Manning, you would be absolutely thrilled. He has been sensational. He's thrown for just a stack of yards in the first couple of games, and is just in sort of scintillating form. The Giants tend to start their runs late. We've seen when they've gone to the Super Bowl and won the Super Bowl. They sort of started them late, but they're Eli's smoking at the moment. So we'll see. I mean, in fact, leads us right into this, Alan, because I'm wondering the Giants surely have made a move in terms of Super Bowl odds, I'm guessing.
Yeah, they've been, what are they? They're 1-1 now. They beat the Buccaneers last start, and they're $36 into $29.
There you go. Well, they handled Carolina. Remember, they had the Thursday game, so they've taken care of that. So they're, I tell you what, I would not sniff at that at the moment. I'd be tempted to jump on that right now.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I mean, they obviously won last year, and it'd be interesting to do some research going back the last 10 years, and I'll try and do it during the week, to see that the previous Super Bowl champion, what price they would be the following year. $29 seems a big price considering they just won it,
Yep.
It certainly does. Now, they did get that late run, and that's one of the things I'm sure people think, they weren't the best team, but they were the best team at the right time. But they've got some weapons. I know they've got some injuries, but I think it's a solid football team. The Cowboys don't scare me in that division. The Redskins are improving. They don't scare me. And I think the Giants are better than the Eagles, really, at the moment. So we'll see. But that's one I certainly wouldn't, pass on.
So the top of the market's changed a little bit. We've got a new favourite for the Super Bowl. It's the 49ers. They've started the season 2-0. They beat the Lions last start 27-19. They've been from $8.50 into $6.50 favourite.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Do you think they're the team to beat here, Ed?
I do at the moment. Yeah, I do. They've got all three phases of the game. Defense, very, very good special teams. Great young coach in Harbaugh. I think they're solid. Yep. Definitely.
Houston's second pick. They're also 2-0. They beat the Jaguars last start 27-7. They've been $8.50 into $7.50.
Funny, isn't it? I just can't get my head around the Houston Texans, an expansion franchise, really being considered Super Bowl favorites. But they're good. They got a good running game, decent quarterback, good receivers, very good defense. Makes sense. I'm still not buying. I still need to be sold on them. But that's, again, as I say, just my prejudice against this team that doesn't really have much history. They're very good.
Yep, Green Bay, they're 1-1. They beat the Bears last game 23-10. They're $8.50. Equal with New England, who are also 1-1, and they're $8.50.
And that's probably just about right, isn't it? Two teams that can really run up the score, but the defenses are suspect. They've been great for the last few years. I think that's probably just about where they belong now.
Atlanta, 2-0, beat Denver 27-21. They've been $17 into $14.
Yeah, look, I'm not sure they're a Super Bowl team. I just got done saying how much I like them and how proud I am of them and how excited they've been to watch, but I'm not sure that's a long way to go out, and I'm not sure that's a team I'd put my money on.
Baltimore, I'd happy to put my money on. They're 1-1. They lost by a point to the Eagles. Arguably shouldn't have lost that game. They've been $14 out to $15. I think $15 seems pretty good value. I
agree. I think it's a veteran team. It's the kind of team that normally isn't going to make a lot of mistakes. You wouldn't think. I agree. Strong defensively. Offense is improving. I agree with you.
Philly, 2-0. They're also a $15 chance. They've been 17 into 15.
Yeah, look, I'd wait for that mark to go back out again because they'll lose a couple and then I'm sure it'll go up.
Denver 1-1. They lost to the Falcons 21-27. $15 out to $17.
Yeah, I mean, wait and see on Denver. I mean, as I said, I'm a Broncos fan, but I still can't get a read on that season and the way they're going. So have to see what happens with them. Once they get through this early, very difficult schedule, we'll have a better sense of how Denver is.
Yep, and I'll fly through a couple more. We've got San Diego. They're a $21 chance. Pittsburgh into $23. The Dallas Cowboys.
Look, those two are not bad thoughts, Alan, for somebody who's looking at that because Pittsburgh always seems to be there at the end. San Diego, as I said, has sort of collapsed in the past few years, but has a lot of talent. So, those are two teams that it's not ludicrous to think that they could get to the Super Bowl. I know that sounds silly.
No, of course. The biggest drifter of the week was Dallas. They got smashed by Seattle, 27-7. They're $17 out to